This week at the Rock Church, Pastor Stovall brought to us an incredible message called A Man Named John, the Paradox of a Blessed Life. And in that message, he talked about the things that John went through and how though he was considered by many, if not all of us, to be a blessed man for the things he experienced and was able to be a part of, he also had many things that were not necessarily what we would consider exciting, good, or even desirable experiences to have. One of the interesting things about this message this weekend was that John himself even struggled with his faith. He gave his whole life to this call, to this mission, to this ministry. And in the last moments of his life, just before he was about to be executed, he calls his disciples and he says, "Guys, I need you to go do something for me. Can you go to Jesus? Can you just ask him for me? Are you the one we've been waiting for? Or should we be looking for somebody else?" So they do. They go, they find Jesus, and they give the message John gave them to say. And Jesus does something interesting. He doesn't really answer them immediately. He goes and he finds a group of people that are blind, and he heals many of them, but not all of them. And finds a group of people that are lame, and heals many of them, but not all of them. And he ministers and does incredible work, and does a lot of miracles. And then he comes back to those disciples of John and he says, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me." So they bring that message back to John and they tell John. John's like, what did he do? What did he say? I'm interested to know. And they tell John, well, he didn't really answer us. He did some miracles. There was a bunch of people that needed healing and he healed a bunch of them, a lot of them. And there was a bunch of people that were blind and they needed their eyesight back. And he gave them, a lot of them, their eyesight and so on. And he said, but he didn't heal all of them? And he said, I don't understand. And so the disciples of John, they say, well, he did give us one message to give you. And he said, his message to you was, blessed is he who's not offended in me. And that's such an important message. When I was a kid, 7, 8 years old, I went to the lunchroom and was sitting with all of my lunch buddies, all my school friends. And we all pulled out our lunches and began to open them up and look inside and see what kind of good, tasty treats we would get to eat for lunch that day. I look around at my friends and they're pulling out their fancy Lunchables with, the little pita cracker that you could spread the marinara sauce on, little giblets of pepperoni and cheese, and they would eat it and they loved it. And if they were really lucky, they got the piece of cracker with the chocolate sauce and M&Ms, because what good parent's not going to give their kid chocolate pizza for lunch? That seems like a good idea, right? So I open mine up and I'm thinking, wow, man, I'm excited. Lunch is going to be good today. And so I open it up and what to my wondering eyes should appear but a tiny little tree, broccoli. My mom had packed me broccoli. And I'm thinking, I want to be able to eat good things, and I want to be able to enjoy, be fulfilled and sustained, and because that's what goes through every 7-year-old's mind, right? And what I wanted was what I thought would be good for me, and I ended up having broccoli. One of the things that's interesting though is that my mom didn't intentionally or didn't try to set me up to be made fun of by my friends or to have to eat little tiny trees when they were getting their cool little boxes of pizza. What she was doing was planning and prepping and giving me something that would sustain me longer than what I thought that I would want or that would be good for me. And what she had planned and what she'd given me was actually something, though it didn't seem like it made sense to me, it was actually something that would help me grow and help me be strong and help me be healthy. Funny thing is with our relationship with God, it's a lot like that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes people who need to be healed don't get healed. Sometimes people who need a miracle, they don't see that miracle. Sometimes we don't get what we think we need or want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that God's not working. See, that's the challenge. That's the challenge. It's not as much about whether we believe He can provide or whether we believe He can heal. It's a matter of, will we trust Him and will we follow Him whether He does or not? Is my relationship with God based on whether He does for me? Or is my relationship with God based on who He is regardless of me? You'll no doubt notice a connection between last week's video and this week's video. And that connection is choice. We have a choice to make every single day. The choice this week is, what will you choose to do should God not answer the prayer that we pray the way we think it needs to be answered? Will we trust Him? Will we follow no matter what? Or will we let it go because it doesn't happen the way we think it should? Food for thought.